Hi guys, it's Clem from Wonderwood and today it's Halloween. And for this special day I decided to do a special video. So I'm going to do the peculiar book tag. It was first created by Jessie the Reader. I'm going to link the original video in the description box. And it's inspired by the trilogy Miss Peregrine Homes for Peculiar Children by Mercysreading. And as it's one of my favorite trilogy, I thought it would be a nice thing to do for Halloween. The first question is Abandoned House. Pick a book you once abandoned but then give it another chance and end up enjoying it. Okay, so for this first question I'm actually cheating a little bit because I have two answers and not one. The first book I pick is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It's one of my favorite books of all time. And the first time I tried to read it, I think I was a little bit too young, so I couldn't finish it. But then I tried it like a year after, and I think I was old enough to understand everything and to be able to read such a complicated book in the writing of Jane Austen. You know, Jane Austen is not the easiest person to read because it's an old vocabulary, and so when you're young you're not used to. And then when I pick it up again I end up loving it, but I didn't really add a doubt about how I will feel about this book. I know I was going to love it. The second one is Glass Words by Victoria Aveyard. If you've seen my wrap-up for September, you know that it took me so long to finish this book because I had a lot of troubles completing it and reading it because I had reading slumps. But still it's a book when I pick it up I end up really enjoying it, and I can't wait to read The King's Cage to see what's happening next, because in the end you're like, okay, I'm a little bit, I don't know, I'm a little bit lost and I want to know what will happen to Mare. The second question is Vintage Photograph. Pick a book that you would have loved to see illustration in. So I picked The Mortal Instrument by Cassandra Clare. I think it's a series I would have loved to see illustration, not photograph, but illustration about, I don't know, the runes or the weapons or the location. I think it's something that would have add really something to the book. Like, I really love when books have illustration, not big one, but you know, just something like doodles in corners of pages, or like half paging describing like what's happening. Like, the best would have been an illustration of the fairy court, because I love this scene and in my mind it's absolutely marvelous and I want to see it. So yeah, it would have been great, but it's still great without it. Anyway. Question 3. Loop. Pick a book you won't mind reading on loop. So for the people who knows me, for this one is pretty obvious, but as you don't know me, you don't know yet that I'm really obsessed with the book I'm going to show you, and it's Fine Girl by Rainbow Rowell. I don't really know how to say her name, I'm going to go with Rainbow Rowell. And yeah, this book actually, I'm currently reading it on loop. Like, every time I don't know what to read, or I have my book and I'm sitting on my bed, I go pick up this book and I read it. Like, I read it all the time. Jenny and Sarah, sometimes when we are in a bookshop and they see it, they have to take me away from the book, or else I'm going to read it and I'm not going to stop. So yeah, I really love this book. I don't know why, but I still find myself in Cats. And yeah, and I love this book. I can't really explain why, it's just I'm obsessed with it. Like, I'm going to buy all the edition I can find. I'm going to buy everything that is related to this book. I really love this book, and so I wouldn't mind reading on loop. Question 4. Pick a character's ability that you would love to have for yourself. Again, I couldn't really choose, so I have two answers for this one. The first one is Percy Jackson. Yeah, I picked the biggest book of Percy Jackson I could find, as you can see. And yeah, I would love to have the power of Percy Jackson. I would love to be able to manipulate water and to do all this stuff we do with water. I don't know, I have this link with water. I really enjoy being in water, in swimming pool, in seas. So you see pretty much what kind of person I am. I am weird. And yeah, I would love to have power and to be a demigod and have, I don't know, this relationship with Olympus and stuff like that. This is why I love so much Percy Jackson. And I would love to see OC, and I would love also to have the ability of Annabeth, because I would love to be that smart and think logically and know what to do when we're in trouble, because it could be really useful. And the other character's ability I picked is the one of Gwendoline in the Precious Stone trilogy by Christine Deer. And yeah, she has the power to go back in time thanks to her blood. Actually, yeah, thanks to her blood. And I would love to be able to travel in time because it's something I think could be so interesting and it seems awesome. Question number 5 is Miss Peregrine. Pick your favorite character that is a leader. For this question, I actually picked something that it's actually a little weird for me because it's from a series that I read when I was a child, and it's a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket. Actually, I never read the whole series. I must have stopped to the book 4 or something like that. But still, Violet Butler was one of my favorite characters when I was a kid, and I still really like her. And for me, she's really the leader of the group because when the children are in trouble, she's the one who managed to get them out of the shit they're in. And I really love her, and she's smart, and she has this stuff with a bow tie, not a bow tie, but with ribbons in her hair. Like when she has an idea, she do this thing with her hair, and so you know she has an idea, and I loved it. Question number 6 is Jacob. Pick your favorite story where a kid discovers a fantastic world. So for this one, guess what I pick? Bim! Harry Potter, because it's my favorite story of all time, and it's still my favorite story where a kid discovers a fantastic world. It's in competition with Narnia, I think, for this question, but Harry Potter is still the one, and I don't think I have to explain this because everybody knows what Harry Potter is, and yeah, it's really a huge part of my life, and this is why I had to pick it up for this question. Question 7 is Emma, a fierce and fiery character. And for this question, I picked Isabelle Lightwood from the Morton Instrument series by Cassandra Clare. I almost forgot her name. Oh yeah, Isabelle Lightwood is really very badass, and she handles situation really great. Like when the group is in trouble, she's here and she's like, no, I'm not worrying about what's going to happen. I know that I'm able to fight, and I know that I'm going to be okay. She doesn't seem to be scared a lot of time. The only time when you see her weak, it's, caution, huge spoiler, it's when a brother dies, and then you see her really weak. And yeah, but most of the time she's really badass, and she appears to be strong and to know what to do. Like she's in control of this situation, and I love her for that. Question 8 is Mila, a book that seems to be invisible but needs to be read by more people. I choose How I Live Now by Meg Rossoff. I already mentioned this book in the Wicked book tag, I think, and it's a book that when I read it, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the story, and I fell in love with the movie also, because yeah. And yeah, I really love this book, and it's super short, so it's really great to read. And I don't know, I feel that people don't know that this book exists, and it's really sad because it's actually a really good book. I really enjoyed it. It's actually about this girl who is coming to visit her cousin in England during the Third World War, or just before the Third World War. So you see, interesting. And stuff happened, and there is the war, and you follow this main character, and you completely fall in love with them because she's such a good character. And I cried, I laughed, I was stressed. This book has everything, and I need people to read this, okay? So if you want to please me, go buy this book and read it, okay? Please. It's good, it's worth it. Question 9. A Live, a book that you bought and fly to the top of your TBR. So the book I'm going to show you, I didn't really buy it. Sarah actually got it for my birthday, and it's Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Oh yeah, I said it the right way this time. And yeah, I wanted to read this book for a long time, but I didn't really know when I was going to buy it. But when Sarah give it to me for my birthday, I already pick it up and start reading it. As you may have seen, I haven't finished this book, and it's what happened when you take a book and you have a book and it's flying to the top of your TBR. Because when I started it, I was reading other books, and so at a certain moment, I decided to finish the other books. So I put it away and I never pick it up. But it's going to happen next month, so soon I'm going to read this book. Question 10. A book that stained and caused a lot of feelings. And I choose The Last Star by Rick Yancey. It's actually the last book in the Fifth Wave trilogy. And when I read this book, I was destroyed, okay? I was sitting on my couch and I ended up crying. But when I tell you that I was crying, I was ugly crying on my couch. Thank God I was alone this day at home, because my mom could have freaked out if she had seen me in the way I was. Yeah, I cried like a baby, and I was really happy with this trilogy. I think I was crying a little bit because it was over, and mostly because what happened in this book. For those who read it, I think you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil you, but there is something that happened that made me cry, and I never thought I was going to cry about that, but still, I cried like a baby, and it still hurts sometimes, okay, when I think about it, and yeah. Question 11. A book character that you will bring back to life. So this question, I'm warning you, there are going to be huge spoilers, because I'm going to talk about death, and I don't want to spoil you if you haven't read the book yet. So the first character that I will bring back to life is Finn in All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I didn't like the fact that he died. I was disappointed with him dying, because until the last pages I was like, no, he's not really dead, he's going to come back, he can't be dead. I didn't cry, but I wasn't happy with the fact that Finn was dead. He was supposed to go with Violet, like they were meant to be, they were meant to help each other going through life and going through stuff, and no, he went and he thought he was a superhero and he died, and Violet is the one who finds him. Come on, Jennifer, why are you such a mean person? Like, why do you do that? Huh? So yeah, I will totally bring back Finn to life. Question 12. Browning. A physically strong character. For this one, I picked Peeta from the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. We don't mention it often, but actually Peeta is really strong in this trilogy. Like, I can find the word, but he can pick up really heavy stuff, and he's really strong actually, and yeah, I think he's a good character to talk about, to pick for this one. Question 13. Hologasp. A book you read that felt like an experiment gone wrong. I picked Me, Her and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. I really enjoyed this book, but it's written really in a weird way. Like sometimes it scripts and sometimes it just, no, not this part, but sometimes it's just written normally, and it felt really weird with reading it because I did not really know what I was reading. You're reading a story, but you don't know where it's going to go. And yeah, it was really weird to read, but still very good. It's still a very good book, and I really enjoyed it. I laughed a lot, even though the topic is not really joyful, but still it seems like an experiment gone wrong, but it still ended up being something great. Question 14. Wicks. A book that felt like had consumed topics that you've seen done before in other books. I don't really understand this question. I think it's not the right question, but I think it's pick a book that when you read it you see similarities with other books. And for this one I'm thinking the Divergent series. I'm not going to say anything bad about this series. I'm just saying that I read it after reading Hunger Games, so it was the time where dystopia was really hype. And so when you read Hunger Games and then you read Divergent, you see that it's actually pretty identical, but it could have been the contrary. Like if I started with Divergent, I will find Hunger Games to be really similar, and it's the same thing with the Maze Runner. Like these three trilogy are actually really resemble a lot, but it's still a good series, and it's not really a big deal that they actually resemble this much. So guys, that's it for the peculiar book tag. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to do it, then do it. You've been tagged by me. I'm not going to tag anyone in peculiar because I don't know anyone on BookTube right now. I'm sorry for me talking really fast and being in a rush, but I'm leaving in something like 30 minutes and I need this to be done. Again, sorry for that. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of us. And if you liked it, share this video to your friends, your family, people you meet in the street. Like, share your love for us.